I'm joined now by junior doctor and GP trainee Bhasha Mukherjee. Good evening, Bhasha. Thank you for joining me. So 22%, a massive, whopping pay rise by anyone else's standards, but you want more.
So I think everyone's obsessed with the numbers. We've been talking about 35%, but it's not really just about the number after all. We are losing thousands of doctors every year because of the working conditions as well. And of course, a pay rise or a pay restoration would be a good way to keep some of those doctors from leaving. But more importantly, I think West Treating has sent a message to the junior doctors that they are being listened to and they are valued. He's taken action promptly straight after being elected, which is something that the Tory government took forever to come to table. They didn't give any offer since last November. So I think it says it's setting a precedent for something really positive going forward.
But you do want more than the 22% that's been offered. Me
personally, I think 22% is much better than what we've been offered all this time. And I think most of us actually are getting burnt out from even striking. This has become a long drawn out process. I personally lost faith that we would get anywhere with this, so this is really positive for me. Well, I'd be happy with it personally.
I mean, you didn't have to strike, because some people, I mean, you're criticised fiercely by people who say you strike over the busiest periods of the year, over Christmas. Last year there was 53,000 excess deaths in the UK, undiagnosed cancers, undiagnosed heart attacks, strokes, people dying well before their time. Do you feel responsible for any of those deaths?
I can't say that we bear responsibility for the patients that we're not looking after when we're not there. But what I can say is that
you should be there, though. That's the point.
What I can say is that we have to look at the future of the NHS overall. We have to look at the number of deaths that are happening during the Christmas period. 500 excess deaths every single week. These were non-strike days, and this is because of the shortage of staff, because of the condition of the NHS, and that's what we're trying to prevent from getting worse and worse and worse over time.
Do you not think that what you're doing now with this 22%, you want more, you want 30%, do you not think the floodgates are just going to open? It's going to be nurses next, it's going to be radiologists, and the NHS is going to forever be in turmoil of striking staff and personnel. What happened to your priority of caring for patients?
So here's the thing, these strike motions have come into action after 14 years of regression of pay. And I absolutely think that if nurses are not happy with the pay, and I must tell you that they indeed were not, a large portion of nurses were not happy with the pay that was offered to them. The government abandoned the nurses last year. So I absolutely think that the condition that our healthcare staff are currently having to live under is absolutely deplorable, and I do think that public sector workers do deserve more money. And I do think that the NHS, the way it's been managed, where the money has actually gone to, could have been better spent. 3 times the amount that it would have been for just restoring the pay of junior doctors. That's how much the government has already spent on filling the shifts. That could have gone to nurses. That could have gone to other staff.
If you asked any other public sector worker or even private sector worker, are you happy with the 22% pay rise? They would absolutely bite your hand off and think they were dreaming. Can I ask why you got into public health? Why you joined the NHS? Why you trained GPs? And why you were a junior doctor? What was it? Was it the money? Or did you get into it for caring?
Absolutely not. I absolutely wanted to get into it to serve people. And at the moment, I don't feel that I'm doing that very well either, because the resources are so starved. The quality of care that we're able to deliver as individuals is subpar.
Can I read you some comments?
We're not fixing health at all. We're just pushing the barrier a little bit further.
Well,
that's what we're doing.
With respect, you're definitely not fixing health when you're not turning up to work and treating patients, and a number of Brits, thousands of Brits, are dying before their time. Can I read you some comments today from GB News viewers about this offer? One said, once doctors were respected and admired by the public, not so now we've woken up to them. Another said, doctors care little for their patients or quality of care they give. It's all about how much money they can blackmail the taxpayer for. And someone else said excessive salaries, obscene pension payments and no accountability by doctors.
And I want to ask them, do they actually know the facts about exactly how much pay rise it means per doctor? It's barely £5 extra. For the lowermost junior doctors that are not even
£5 an hour.
Well, where they're getting paid £15 and the pay rise would equate to £20 an hour. And you have to think about this as 50% of the NHS workforce we're talking about. So that 35% pay rise...
That's a 25% increase.
So when you take a really small number and increase it by 35%, it still equates to a very small number. So we've got to think about the fact that doctors at the moment in this country are not paid well enough in the first place.
So would you now support pay strikes, walkouts from the likes of paramedics, as I said, radiologists, consultants, dentists, GPs? Would you support them walking out? Would you encourage them to walk out and do what you guys have done?
None of us want to strike. And let me tell you this, much before the strikes even came into action, there was discourse, there was supposed to have been a resolution. The strike was the very last resort. And I would suggest that the way West Streeting is going, with the way that he's coming forward to discuss and discourse, we've not had any strikes yet, I want to say that that's a really good sign, and that needs to take precedent over strike motion. Strike motion is never a good idea. Actually, the discussion and resolution should be reached beforehand. The negotiation has been happening for much longer than these last 20 months.
OK. I think some just fear, Bhasha, that the floodgates are now opened. You know, the cat's out the bag. As I said, everyone is going to be now walking out threatening strikes for more money. And yeah, I wish you well.
Thank
and it's
you.
funny also, just to add, it's funny how the BMA and Labour have managed to sort this out in 3 weeks when, you know, the Tories were trying for a long time. Some are saying that politically maybe it's a move to discredit the Tories. But Bhasha Mukherjee, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.